What's up, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. For our first question, Oh So Unnamed asks if Rafa gave the Bad Batch's information to someone shady like Dryden Voss.
I wanted to talk about this just so I could talk about Dryden Voss some more.
Uh-huh.
I do, I'm talking about, who it might be in more depth in tomorrow's video, because that's the big question from this episode. Every episode's done a pretty good job of, presenting a new question or thing to think about. Hopefully they start in the second half of the season, answering those.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't, as much as I'm yes, Dryden Voss is going to be in this and I can't wait to see it. I think that's too far, only because I don't know how he would have gotten, R7. R7 is a direct link back to Rex and Ahsoka. So I think that whoever they're working with is probably on the side of good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of people that it could be for the good guys. I didn't think anything about it being a bad guy, necessarily.
I did throw Dryden around in my head for a minute, could this be? And I was just I don't know. I just don't think it fits. The R7 thing is too much, and I'm that feels like a lot for him to have gotten a hold of R7 just to throw us off and hire Trace and Rafa.
Mm-hmm.
They're also a link to Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So that just seems I'm not saying it's Ahsoka in the hologram. I think it's Bail, but whoever it is has to have a link to her, I think.
I think it could be Ahsoka. I know you said in your video you thought it was Bail because of his...
They also say contact him.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
Unless Ahsoka is deep undercover.
It's probably Bail then. Cis Nerd wants to know if Omega is force sensitive, and does that mean she's in danger when Wrecker's chip inevitably malfunctions?
Another step along that path. So I more wanted to talk about the Wrecker side of things, because Omega being force sensitive, we've talked about that a lot on this channel. I do think it's likely her enhancement. Still kind of I'm very open to that being a red herring and that they surprise us with something else, but I do think she probably is right now. So does that mean that Wrecker is automatically going to attack her? I don't really think so.
No, I don't see how the chips going off in the clones would work with anyone that's force sensitive.
Right.
I think they were, I don't know, there was a Rolodex uploaded.
That's the joke we've made before, is that Palpatine had a Google Doc.
Yeah, there were specific names and face identities that I think were on the Order 66 kill list.
Right.
And I don't think it has anything to do with just being force sensitive. So she might still be in danger, but...
Yeah, I kind of
maybe not right off the bat.
I see Wrecker's inevitable turn, the chip activation. I see that as he's just going to go berserk, not be Omega, you specifically. I mean, I hope not. I will say that's heartbreaking because he's such a big brother to her, and I love their dynamic together. So I wouldn't put it past the show to have her be the one in danger, but I don't know that I would say it's because she's force sensitive. I think it's just because she'll be there.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe when these clones got away, they were added to the list. I mean, I think that all the clones are on the lookout for them.
Mm-hmm. Unless she's using the force right in front of him when it happens. But I don't know. After this last episode, I kind of feel like Omega is going to be playing a part more so in the snapping him out of it aspect.
I hope. That's a really nice thought.
Because in this past episode, when he starts kind of mumbling, good soldiers follow orders, I think it was Tech calls him on the comms or something, and he just keeps saying, good soldiers follow orders, and then when Omega talks to him, he kind of snaps out of it for a second.
Oh, nice catch.
So, to me, that tells me that she's going to play a part in helping him recover.
Oh, I like that as foreshadowing a lot, because we're all kind of banking on Tech getting that scanner working so they can figure this out and get the chip out. But I like the idea that, yeah, that fails, but it's, the old trope, like the power of love brings him back, which we have seen, not specifically the power of love, but we have seen that a clone can break out of Order 66. They can be talked out of it, basically.
Yeah.
So I can absolutely see that being possible, and that's very sweet.
Leftist Hominid asks if the Force is weaker on planets without life.
In a way, I think so. I think yes and no. And it's like, we're going to just talk about how the Force maybe works, just my opinion.
Yeah.
But, like, the Force is created through life, so it does make sense that on a planet like Tatooine, that it just wouldn't be as abundant. And we've definitely seen Jedi go to planets like Dagobah and go, oh, this place is full of life. The Force is strong here.
Mm-hmm. Massive life readings.
Yeah. But I kind of think that that's just all part of visualization. Like, you have access to the Force in all of the galaxy. And I think it probably is kind of like that Neo realizing that there is no spoon kind of thing. Like, it's more a mental just, gosh, I'm in the desert. There's no life here. The Force is weak. And it's easier to be like, yes, the Force is strong when you're surrounded by life. But I kind of think that no matter where you are, the Force is galaxy-wide.
Sure.
So I think it's more just the Force is strong here, and they probably mean, oh, it'll be easy for me to visualize tapping into the Force.
Yeah. It's interesting to think about if we'll find out more about this idea in the ObiWan show, because he will have been on Tatooine for a long time, and that's a pretty desolate place.
I like that idea a lot, yeah.
Yeah. But I also thought about Agent Kloss being a planet full of a lot of life, and I know Rey was really thriving there, as far as, like, learning how to tap more into the Force. So there could be something there. I just don't know if that's how George Lucas was thinking, like, how the Force worked.
I mean, I definitely do think that the Force is stronger or maybe more active in some places, like the Dark Side Cave on Octo and on Dagobah, that there are these nexes of the Force. But in my head, I think that anywhere in the galaxy, if you have that mental state, you can tap into the Force no matter where you are. Mm-hmm. But I also think that, I think it was in the Ahsoka novel, to kind of tie things back into the Bad Batch, the Obi-Wan has a chapter, and I do think he talks about how he has to kind of think through that process of, like, it seems like there's no life here, but there is, and kind of him working through how he taps into the Force that way.
Yeah, I think it's easier to think in the way that the Force is stronger on planets with more life, but not necessarily weaker on planets with less. Because, like, I'm imagining, I don't know, like, midichlorians as, like, tiny mirrors, and when there's more life around, there's more reflection happening, there's light bouncing everywhere. It's kind of what's being pictured in my head.
I like that.
Damien Vonderhaar wants to know if we'll see Obi-Wan hanging out in the Cantina in the Kenobi series.
I think so.
I would hope so.
I mean, they built it for The Mandalorian. They've already used it in 2 separate seasons. It feels like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a perfect opportunity to put some of those classic Cantina patrons in a scene like that, or, bring back someone like Dr. Mandibles.
Please.
Come on.
We don't know how old he is. He could have been there for that long. Yeah, I mean, Obi-Wan obviously has some history with the Cantina. He knows it's a little rough. And if he's going to leave the planet, which it sounds like he will, he's going to need to charter flight. So he can't just get on a transport. He probably doesn't have a chain code.
Yeah, so, maybe Wooher will be in it.
Yeah, a young Wooher.
Yeah, and the two of them go way back and have this kind of agreement.
He'll bump into a young Evazan will bump into him, and Obi-Wan will say, "You just watch yourself," and Evazan will be like, "Oh,
I'll remember that, old man."
Yeah, it's a good one. I also think that in Rise of the Dark Lord, I think that was the book, that at the end of it, that's when in Legends Obi-Wan found out that Darth Vader was still alive. That he sees the Holo News or something, and I think that's in the Cantina. Not that they're going to recreate that scene, but I think it would be fun to see that moment, to see him learn, like, oh,
yeah,
oops.
or at least, it's a bar. People are just talking.
Yeah,
he could overhear a conversation being had about, Vader doing this or that, and I could see him like overhearing something, but my fingers are crossed that we do see him in the Cantina, but I won't be that upset if we don't.
I'm the same way. It doesn't have to happen, but I'm like, it probably will. They built the set. They have the digital thing.
Volume.
Digital set, I guess, yeah, and for the volume. Like, they built it all. Why not?
Mr. J.D. Rice asks if Leia will meet Kira in War of the Bounty Hunters, and will Kira survive the series? And will Crimson Dawn still be around for the Book of Boba Fett?
The Kira Leia question really got me thinking. And yeah, I think they might bump into each other. I don't know that they're going to know. Kira probably will know who Leia is. I don't think Leia is going to know, who Kira is from Han's past. And Kira might not know that Leia has any history with Han. Yeah.
I would be very interested to see how they handled that if they did meet, because then it would be like, well, would Leia have mentioned something in Return of the Jedi about this other lady being around, or did they just kind of meet in passing and maybe Kira doesn't say anything about knowing Han? Or
I like that idea more.
Yeah.
That they have an interaction, but they just don't know who they're talking to.
Yeah, I could see that. Whether or not it'll happen, I don't know.
Will Kira survive the series? I think so, and I hope so. Because we've only gotten this one issue, but she's saying that, like, Han always wanted to save me, and now he's finally going to do it. So I like this idea that she escapes whatever she's trying to escape with Han's help. It's kind of like him fulfilling that destiny, but he won't even know that it happened. Like, it's kind of sad and tragic, but I like it.
I mean, the character of Kira does not deserve to die in a comic book.
That's how I feel as well.
I want her to be brought back in some way in live action, and even if they can't do that, I still, like, just leave it kind of open-ended. Like, I'll be really sad if they kill her in a comic.
I agree. I think that she will ride off into the sunset by the end of this series, and we'll be, like, happy for her. I'm talking about this in a video next week as well that I've already done, but I don't think that this means that there's no chance of her returning in live action. Like, I did kind of have that reaction where I was like, I'm excited. I think it's a great idea for the comic, to raise the stakes for the comic. I was worried that it meant that they had no plans to do anything else with her, but I don't think that's the case. I think that they probably will revisit her. Your phone is blowing up. I don't know if people could hear that, but so popular.
And then the last part of that is, will Crimson Dawn still be around for Book of Boba Fett?
I don't know. I would like it to be, I think, but if Kira's not in charge of it, which I don't think she will be, I think this is her trying to get out of life, escape, whatever. I don't know why she had to make, like, a big splash back in the criminal underworld scene to do that. It's like, they've been gone for 13 years, so why announce your presence if you're just trying to leave? But I don't know. We'll see that story. But I like the idea of Crimson Dawn and it still being a kind of major syndicate post Return of the Jedi.
At least you know, certain members of Crimson Dawn still being around, I think that would be cool.
There's like Margot. Is she all that's left? I mean, she can lead it. I think she's a very cool design. So
yeah.
That's it for patron questions. If you're a patron and you didn't see your question answered here, just head over to Patreon where we left you a written response. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. Just $1 a month will get you access to extra Star Wars Explained content like audio commentaries for the films, and we're doing commentaries for the Bad Batch right now, so we're up through episode 5 as of today, and episode 6 will be out soon. And that's all available right now if you're interested.
On to YouTube questions. Jurassic Box asks why we haven't seen Baras offi yet.
We get this question, I don't know, once every quarter or so. It got a lot of upvotes,
if
though.
If not more.
Yeah, it got a lot of upvotes. And, you know, we're in the midst of the Bad Batch. And I could see, maybe more so than other... I think Fallen Order was the time where I'm like, okay, this might be Baras coming back. But with how closely tied the Bad Batch is to the Clone Wars, I'm like, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I just think Dave Filoni has an idea, and we just don't know what it is yet.
He has said that on the record, that he's not done with Baras offi, but that was a long time ago. So, I don't know. Maybe he just said that.
Maybe. I mean, do you think we could see her in the Ahsoka show?
I think that's too far.
Too far forward?
Maybe. I mean... I wouldn't say no to it, but I think the Bad Batch makes more sense.
Kenobi?
I think Kenobi's going to have plenty to do on his own emotionally without throwing Baras offi into the mix. But, you know, I'll never say never to that stuff. I just, of the projects that are incoming or happening now, I'm like, the Bad Batch does, whether or not it's in season 1, I don't know, but that one makes the most sense to me.
Maybe we could see her come in like a Fallen Order sequel?
Maybe.
Since everyone was thinking that she was in the first one, maybe Filoni was like, yeah, maybe, but in the next one.
Yeah. She'll pop up in War of the Bounty Hunters, too. Mm-hmm. That's where they're all just gonna... let's bring everyone back.
Stuart Lugsden wants to know if we'll see Quinlan Voss in the Bad Batch.
I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
I think that at some point, they're going to be hired to hunt down a Jedi for someone. Not the Empire, but like Sid will be like, there's someone who needs... Sid will hold back information again and be like, someone needs an extraction. And or like, someone wants this person dead. And they'll be like, what do we do? Because they're going to keep facing like these moral... who are we working for exactly? And balancing that against, you know, getting credits to survive. But,
I guess I could see that because they did say Sid worked... Echo said Sid worked with the Jedi. We don't know in what capacity, but... And
Quinlan Voss was, like, in that kind of undercover underworld side of things. So I hadn't even thought of that. But yeah, Quinlan Voss sounds like someone that would have worked with Sid.
I would love to see him in the Bad Batch. I think you're right. It would be a great episode, kind of like what we just got, where it's like a job for them.
Yeah. And not to mention, it could tie into like Dark Disciple, kind of just mention some of that stuff. And we all just want to see him again.
I just want to see if he's okay.
Oh, Quinlan.
Jedi Spartan 38 asks, which Star Wars game has our favorite dark side ending?
I'll take this one, because I've played the games with various endings and stuff. So we're talking like your Knights of the Old Republics or Dark Forces 2, The Force Unleashed. I'm going to go Dark Forces 2, just because that was like my first introduction to that idea that like, oh, you can do a light side or a dark side ending. I also think it's maybe the only one. No, that's not true, because I did it for The Force Unleashed as well. But those are the ones that I can go through with. I've said before that when I play KOTOR, I just don't have it in me to go full dark side. I get too attached to the characters, and every time I'm like, this time I'm going to be bad, and then I can't do it.
Oh,
but Dark Forces, it's a little easier. It's not a role-playing game. It's like, it's a shooter. Mm-hmm. But that was the first time I experienced something like that. And it's so disconnected from anything else that happens that I'm like, yes, I enjoy that. I did not really enjoy killing like everybody in The Force Unleashed. Because like that's, you killed Chewie, you kill Han. It's messed up. So
no, thank you.
I did it, but I was sad about it.
I did it, but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Kyle Arking wants to know why Yaddle has been ignored for the past 20 years.
I don't want to get into spoilers or anything for any story, but I'll just say her time is coming.
Vague.
Well, I don't want to say when or where, but I know.
Do you have a
something.
Disney source now?
No.
No, I know what you're talking about.
I know you do.
I just think that they hadn't found the right time and place to plop her into a story yet.
She did appear in the Darth Vader comics, kind of, more in a vision.
Yeah.
So, like, I know that people, writers, story group members, I know that people there love Yaddle.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably more a thing where they're like, let's use her the right way.
Sure. And plus, it's like, I know everyone that's working with Lucasfilm probably wants to tread very lightly around Yoda's species because there's so much mystery behind it. And when Grogu showed up, it's like, well, we couldn't have already known a bunch of stuff about Yaddle because that would have taken some of the mystery away from Grogu. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
Probably not too long. That's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion and get a guaranteed written answer. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.